Welcome to the Avram Davidson universe. I'm here with Virgil from Literally Books, and I'm Bob from Wheel of Genre, and we're doing something special. Virgil, can you tell us, where are we? What are we doing,
We
Virgil?
are in April. For the month of April,
Oh.
a bunch of people are reading ape-related stories, and Avram has a few,
Mhm.
and we decided to read some. So we picked a couple, and we're gonna talk about one of them today. And the one that we picked, I guess I'll go ahead and reveal this secret, which
Okay.
is no longer a secret.
Oh,
The Hills Behind Hollywood High um, is the one we started with, and yeah, it is a great story. What do you think, Bob?
it's nuts, Virgil. I was talking to you about this. It feels like Toad's Wild Ride, the Disney ride where you just keep going around a corner. It's a fun story. Let's talk about the plot in just a minute, but it's a surprising story even for Avram stories. I notice a lot of Avram stories. You're trying to read, you're trying to figure these things out, you're trying to piece these things together, and then you're surprised at the end and it all comes together. This is maybe the quintessential surprise story. Yeah. It all
Yes.
makes sense. Yeah.
This is definitely a story where the ending is like you would definitely enjoy. For me, I enjoyed the whole story, but the ending was so great that it almost tops any other ending I could think of. It's just so much fun.
It is fun. It's a shock. It makes me want to rethink my own wardrobe. But we have these The Hills Behind Hollywood High. I love the beginning to this, Virgil. I think it's so fun where Avram is writing, okay, these people are not successful. They are people who did not move out of Hollywood to Beverly Hills, but they are people who moved there to become actors and actresses, and they failed. And now they've had beautiful children who go on to high school and decide, I will be a beautiful actor, and they also fail. So it's just these compounding.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
all
this
of these.
great setup.
It is great. It's nuts. Yeah. So this great setup of all of these people who are trying to make it. They're not making it. They have all these different jobs. They're waiters. They're mechanics. They're doing all of these uh, moonlighting jobs while they're trying to make it big. But who are kind of our main characters? Who are our eyes into this world, Virgil?
Oh, what is it, the main character's name? Is it
Dorothy.
Dorothy? That's right. Right. That's right. Dorothy. Which I thought was a really
Oz reference.
kind of somewhat fitting name, right? For someone. And Dorothy and her two friends, um, it's Angela and Mary something. I can't remember their names, right? They each want to be actresses. They're teenagers, right? High school teenagers, and they want to be actresses. They want to make it into Hollywood. They see famous Hollywood stars like driving up and down the main drag, just every once in a while. I think somebody talks to them at one point, and then it's like they like, oh, we could die. Anyway, but they all have some physical characteristic that is a flaw in the eyes of Hollywood that has from kept them from the silver screen. They are not acceptable for some reason. And in Dorothy's case, it's because she does not have enough of a bosom. Right. So she's doing exercises and everything else. Right. Because she has to do something to enhance her characteristics.
As one might say, yes. My favorite part of this, so it's just three friends. They're trying to make it. But my favorite part is when Dorothy, her other two friends, get some gigs, but then Dorothy gets nothing, and she goes to one where it says 100 girls. We need girls, 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 and she shows up, and then the woman just goes, "Honey." They won't even let her audition.
Yeah, honey, this is for men.
Yeah, and she just points to the poor girl. Poor Dorothy's working so hard, and she can't get a single gig until she finally. I think she's in tears at this point. She's walking up and down Hollywood, and then she's hoping some Hollywood classic will come out and say, "What's bothering you?" Robert Pattinson will come out from behind and ask her what's happening, and then some weird guy comes out who claims he's a doctor and says, "What's wrong? Can I help you in any way?" And she's waiting for him to say, like, you're fine, you're beautiful. And he says, "No, you have some flaws, but I can help you. I have a tonic." So he's a bit of a snake oil salesman, a serious snake oil salesman, very creepy, very strange. But she ends up,
Right.
yeah, very strange guy. She ends up ingesting like this bottle of liquid that has no effect until a few moments later, and there's a huge effect. And I think now is the time to
Right.
get to some spoilers, Virgil.
It is time. Yes, she drinks this tonic that he makes, that he mixes with celery water because he
Yep.
thinks that celery water is a thing that Americans drink a lot of. Um, Dorothy's like, she sneaks home. I don't think I think she goes to sleep and wakes up the next day, and like some creditor is like knocking at the door trying to talk to her father who's out of town for the week. And but in the meantime,
saying, Harry,
I know you're in there. I want my money. Yeah. Right. But in the meantime, she has seen herself in the mirror, I think, at this point, and is like, no, go away, go away. But then he keeps insisting, and she gets so frustrated that she yanks open the door, and much to his surprise, he is greeted by a large gorilla. Which snatches him inside and partially devours him.
Yeah, it really escalated quickly there, Virgil. It got pretty nuts. So she's Harry now, and she devours him. And I think this is where now just all bets are off, Virgil. I think we can spoil the hell out of it. It's a delightful story where even this craziness is happening, and it gets crazier from there. She devours this guy. She is there for... Well, she's there for almost a month trying to tell her friends to go away. I've got a horrible flu. Friends come to the door. Other people come to the door. Jehovah's Witnesses come, and she just says, go away, go away. You'll catch the flu. She goes out. Everything is fine. And then one night, she's out walking, and she feels the fur coming
change.
Back.
She feels sick or something. Yeah,
she's sick. She's like, "What's going on? Something strange." And then finally, she feels her back, and she feels the hair is there. Then she realizes she might be some kind of were-gorilla. It seems that if there, it's
but
not.
What's funny, what's strange is that the moon isn't full. So she's like, "What is going on?" It's like it seems like it's a were situation, but she's like, "Oh," and in the end, she's disposed of the creditor's body by this point. Right. And there's a whole thing in the news about this Sumatran gorillas are roaming the street, preying on humans. And everybody's like, no. There's a whole news broadcast about it.
Yeah, there's lots of weird side characters in here. There's two professors, and they're arguing, and they're saying that there's a resemblance to the Sumatran mountain gorilla, a native of Sumatra and Indonesia, but it's of a vegetarian diet. And so they have this argument whether or not animals will attack. She eventually runs. There's weird kind of, how would you even characterize this, Virgil? She is an actual gorilla, but she's a talking gorilla because she's still human. She's just a were-gorilla. She mostly is in charge of her faculty. She's not a complete werewolf that goes off and just is super bloodthirsty. Right. She will snap and attack. But there's only one actual victim. But she's interesting because there are other ape creatures. There is someone who mistakes her for someone in a gorilla suit and invites her in. And this is Alfie, the director. And it's like, oh, just come with me. I'll make you dinner. I know you're in a gorilla suit. Don't you want to take the gorilla suit off? And each time she tries to say, it's not a gorilla suit, he just says, oh, you people, you actors and that kind of thing. Or you people who live in Hollywood. Then she meets Alfie's ex, scares the hell out of her. The ex runs away. Yeah.
That scene where she scares her away is so vivid. It describes Dorothy running and everything, and how she's running on all fours and then shambling like this or something. And it's so great.
Her name is Sandra. So this Alfie is complaining about all of his ex-girlfriends and how he's not had much luck with love. And then Sandra comes back and she says, I'll give you a gorilla. I'll give you whatever his current girlfriend's called.
She thinks that once again he must have an actress in his apartment or something, and he's seducing her or whatever. And she comes in all angry.
The frying pan. She says,
and it's greeted by a gorilla.
Greeted by a gorilla. It says, Sandra never for a moment showed the slightest sign of believing that she was confronted by someone in a gorilla suit. Sandra turned and fled, giving shriek after shriek of terror, horror, and fright. She never steps foot in Hollywood again.
and also this guy that she's been talking with, Dorothy's been talking with, is a movie. I don't know if he's a director or producer, but he
Oh yeah,
makes.
producer.
He's like, oh, this is such a great gorilla suit. He's like, oh, he's like, has her like deliver this. He's like, I want you to scream you're this gorilla. He like has to do like a little audition. Like he's like, oh, you're so great.
I love it. Yeah. So we don't even know why they're doing this at this point. He's just very convinced. He's like, wow, you're really great at this. Give me another gorilla squeal. And then the audition is like, you and your boyfriend are out, or you are in the jungle and you see this handsome Hollywood actor with this starlet, and they're in the middle of the jungle. And then suddenly the man is killed by a boulder. Give a gorilla shriek to warn the woman about the boulder. But then
these great prompts, and then he's like, oh, that was great.
How did you do that? So she's a very good person in a gorilla suit. Now we get to another weird twist because someone has already mistaken her. So Alfie is convinced that she's just someone in a gorilla suit, because why would you be convinced of, that there's a were-gorilla? That's a hard thing to convince somebody of. But she leaves. She then meets someone who is drunk, but probably a gorilla, but hard to tell. And then it turns out it's someone in a gorilla suit who is just pulling all of these different bottles out and just drinking each one. There's a bottle of wine that he pulls out from his gorilla suit, a bottle of vodka, keeps offering it to her, and she keeps saying, no, 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 no. And
he's a former Hollywood star, we learn. Who is on hard times, and now he plays a gorilla.
Now he plays a gorilla. And so she goes with him to he basically says, okay, you're my understudy. You're pretty good at being a gorilla. Come with me. They go to the film set. He just immediately falls over drunk. And the director's like, oh my God, drunk again? Drunk again? Drunk the day before? Drunk 2 days ago? And we find out the guy who was there, the producer, the director, is Alfie, the one that she met before. And they say, okay, we have to move on. We got to figure something out. And Alfie realizes, oh, it's you. Can you give the squeal again? She gives the squeal, and they realize, oh, a star is born.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then that wonderful ending, right? Did you expect that ending? I just want to know, did you expect anything like that? Because it's just so good.
I think it's great. I think she deserves the success, Virgil.
Yes.
I think it was nice. Because she has had, even her friends who are complete failures have outshone her, and they look down on her. And now she becomes the biggest star. What does it say? The fourth week of every month, Dorothy stars in one, starring Genie of the Jungle, the world's most lovable little gorilla, one film after another. And it says the money rolls in. She's even paid off her father's debts, and now he's living, the poker palaces of the Gardenia. And yeah, she just has a wonderful life now. When she's not a gorilla, she's off driving her convertible, having a great old time. And then
with her boyfriend of the week, I think it says.
With her boyfriend of the week, yes. Her lemon yellow Pika Fetty Zoom convertible, whatever that is.
That's right.
Yeah.
and she's an actress too. She does other roles. It's like this week she does this week, this, but the fourth week of every month. And it's great too, because she figures out that her change is related to the phases of the moon in Sumatra.
Right.
Which is why she couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah. Why am I gorilla today? Yeah, so she's a were-gorilla of Sumatra, and it turns out that the doctor is from Sumatra, and that liquid, I guess, is were-gorilla liquid. So now she is forever attached to the moon phases of Sumatra, and also forever a world-famous were-gorilla.
That's right. And her, I can't remember how many movies they made, but her movies are very popular. It's awesome. It's just such a cool twist. It's such a great turn of events to happen with something like this.
She deserved it. Dorothy deserved it.
For sure.
That's success. Virgil, I heard you have some crazy stuff. You're telling me about some things. You have some special attachments to this. Perhaps a gorilla suit?
I do not have a gorilla suit, despite those allegations. I have not devoured any predators lately. But
I was bookshelves.
Really. So I really love gorilla suit stuff, and so I found this documentary a little while ago. I talked about it maybe somewhere else at one point, but you can still buy it. I could still buy it not too long ago, called Dinosaurs versus Apes. There's actually 3 older documentaries on here, but there's one from the 90s just about apes, and it's all about just guys in ape suits. It talks about it talks about like where the big guy was Charles Gramora, who was who did a lot of these black and white movies, and he was from the Philippines, and I guess he was like very talented and very expressive in the way he did stuff. There was a bunch of guys in that. The documentary is amazing, by the way. And then let's see, another one who came later than this story, but talks a little bit about like Rick Baker, who did the gorilla suit for Gorillas in the Mist with Sigourney Weaver, whatever. Let's talk about that. And then it's hosted by Bob Burns, who also had made his own gorilla suit. And actually, I just happen to have a Bob Burns model kit. Bob Burns played the Mighty Kogar, and he also played Tracy the gorilla in one of the wearing a beanie. And I think the original Ghostbusters or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a series that came before the Ghostbusters movie. No idea if those properties are related. I don't know that. But he actually owned the original King Kong armature. He was a big Hollywood memorabilia collector. He had like props from the Alien. He had like original props from the Aliens movies, and he used to put on like these like crazy Halloween shows, like at his house. Like I think one year they converted his house into like a spaceship had crashed to the side of the house, and they had like stuff all like the whole thing. He had like actually he was friends with people from Hollywood, so they had actors come, and they did like they spent. It was a huge production, like something that would be not such a big deal now because people do that. But he was doing this in like the 60s and stuff, in the 70s. Like it was a big deal. And he would dress up like Tracy the gorilla and then have some guy who would be like a safari guy who was like supposed to be the gorilla trainer. And then he would break loose from the cage and scare all the children and they all run away. Like thinking it was a real gorilla. So there's some great stuff on YouTube and everything on this. But that documentary, Apes versus Gorillas, I got that from Amazon, so it's something you can find. It was super fun. Anyways, that's all to say that there's lots of really cool gorilla suit and gorilla stuff out there. Lots of really cool old black and white movies and stuff like that. So anyway, I just thought it was neat to bring up.
I think we have gorilla suits in our future, Virgil. We need to order some and start wandering around Hollywood. Yes.
Yeah, and he was, and I guess it was something too. Is that that they talk a little bit about in the show, like it was a thing for a long time because gorilla suits were really expensive, and so that was one of the big deals with like Charles Gramora. I think he owned his own gorilla suit. He made his own. So that was a big deal, because a lot of times it's like, oh, we would like, having your own suit meant you could kind of like be a mercenary gorilla. You like hire yourself out, like, like
gorilla,
gorilla, indeed. So, and it's the same thing Bob Burns did. He made his own. He and his wife made a gorilla suit. He wasn't a Hollywood guy. He just loved movie production and everything. So cool. I think he actually also owned the original Wolf's Head cane from the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr., which he said is rubber. It was not silver because he gets beaten over the head with it at the end of the movie. So, but he actually, so he had big name props. He had some super cool stuff. But anyway, so there's that little bit of tidbit. There's some great Bob Burns documentaries on YouTube too. You can find some awesome stuff that I thought was just super neat. If you like older monster movies and stuff, there's some great stuff out there.
It's inspired me, Virgil. I think this story is so interesting, talking about gorillas, talking about dressing up in gorilla suits, and then mistaking people, whether or not they are pretending or whether or not they are the real deal. And that's interesting, too, to be this gorilla. You have your own gorilla suit. You're not a pretender. You're ready to be the gorilla. We've seen that a lot, I think, in Avram Davidson stories. And we've seen these ideas of, especially when we were reading the Esterhazy stories, when they get very supernatural, and it's like, okay, is this a real supernatural thing or someone posing as something supernatural? And I think it's so fun to have, like, to not have the idea of the suspension of disbelief, but to have all characters always suspended in between these two realities of she is really a gorilla and she is also really not a gorilla. And she really is replacing someone in a gorilla suit, but she is not someone in a gorilla suit.
Right. And it's like no one else ever knows, right? Like no one else ever knows that she's not wearing a gorilla suit. So it's like,
It's true.
I love that. I love that it's like she's really a wear gorilla, but she's like, I just pretend to be a woman in a gorilla suit all the time. That's awesome.
That's true. I wonder what other secrets, stars have to get by, to be an actor in every movie. Are they
Really.
yeah. What did you think about these, again, so supernatural things that are questionably supernatural, but then also this idea that is almost like Jekyll and Hyde. You ingest the poison, you ingest the potion, you become someone else. And it is from kind of a mysterious source, this mountebank, this snake oil salesman. Does this feel like, it feels very classic, like kind of the birth of weird fiction, this idea of the mountebank, the idea of the transformation.
It does. It does have a lot of similarities to Jekyll and Hyde. And I think it's another, it seems like there is a lot of like classic Hollywood movie stuff in this, like a real love for that
Stuffed
stuff.
with it.
Yeah. And but it also is wonderfully weird. It's just so, it's such a bizarre thing because it sounds like one great moment is when when the creditor comes and she pulls him in and she devours him. It's delivered so bloodlessly that, and like, so, it's sort of like, she's like, oh shoot. And then she's like, I guess I got to clean the tiles up. She's like, not phased. You know what I mean? She's like,
yeah.
it doesn't, at least it doesn't seem like, she's kind of like, so she like puts him in the fridge and she's like, and then she's like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot about his body. I got to get rid of it. Like a week later before her dad comes home, she's like, oh, I got to get rid of this body. And, and I love too, like there's that whole, like the whole thing on the news with the gorillas on the loose, which reminds me of like that old like Donald Duck cartoon. I don't know if you remember that, where they're like killer gorilla, and then like the radio's like broadcasting something, and then there's a gorilla on the loose and everything. Watch out! And then this gorilla comes to his Donald's house or whatever. It's an old Disney short, right? With Donald Duck and this killer gorilla on the loose. It just reminds me of that, like these news flashes, like monster, animal, wild animal on the loose. It could be anywhere, And I just love that thing in the news that they're talking about it and like, oh no, and it's like, oh, but there really is something out here. It's great.
The original Cocaine Bear was a Donald Duck cartoon.
Yes, Cocaine Bear.
I really liked it too. The idea of, again, legends. I think that he really plays with legends and these things that are out there that people are reporting. There's the killer gorilla out there, otherwise known as the gorilla. There are things, these sightings. It reminds me of Bigfoot sightings too. Word of mouth, fear, or people just excited about proof, because the two professors, what they're doing is they're comparing like these footprints, and it's almost like the first Bigfoot footprints, right? Like, look at these things, it's true. And they're trying to figure out if it's a hoax or if it's real. They can't even decide, is this like the Sumatra gorilla? There's no reason for the gorilla to be here. It's like a reverse version of the Edgar Allan Poe story, the Dupont story about the gorilla.
The Rue Morgue, yeah.
yeah. The Murders of the Rue Morgue, yeah.
Yeah, it is almost, yeah, right. The opposite of a locked room, right?
Yeah. But still
like, how did the gorilla get over here? How could it possibly get over here?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like, it's not even predatory. It's like it's a
vegetarian.
Oh, I don't know. It's great. There's so many great little touches and everything. And I like how it starts off so much like, here's a portrait of Hollywood, at this certain moment in time. And then here's and then it's like, he's like, oh, and I heard these three girls. And like, oh, this is our main character, Dorothy. Okay. Oh, she wants to be in the movies. She meets a weird guy. Okay. Where's this going to go now? Because the title gives away nothing. And then you're right. And then she's like, oh, you're like, okay, apparently she's now a monster. and then it's like, and apparently she's a film starlet now. And I just loved it. How it just brought itself back around. Like her dream gets fulfilled. in the most unusual way. And she does gain, she does become more buxom. It's just that she becomes a gorilla.
Oh, right. She's trying to gain weight.
Right.
And they're going, she did. She gained weight.
She did, but
about 5 times as much
not
as
the
she
way she
intended.
wanted. Which I don't even know what the intent was. What is that guy who's like, oh, this will help you? It's like, what was the intent there, sir?
Yeah.
What did he think was going to happen?
Just out there to make a were-gorilla, aren't you? Does it remind you of El Vilvoy at all? We read this other Avram Davidson story, and there is this idea of like a family of brothers all posing to be the same brother year after year. So it looked like one person never aged, but then even that was cast into doubt. And maybe there was this immortal hero boy. It feels like he really loves to play with legends. And this is very much like an urban legend. The idea of someone who is running out there posing as Bigfoot, but then maybe it is true all of this time. I think this idea of the doubt behind legends and yet the certainty behind legends.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, like, you know, if like in the world where those Janie the gorilla or whatever it was movies exist, like someone's like, well, how did this young teenager come to have this gorilla suit that's so realistic? And, you know, and then so like somebody like in our time is like researching this movie or something, like, how did she do this thing? Nobody else did this. And like her suits are so amazing and so real. And like, where did she come from? Where did she get the money to do this? How did they find her? You know, and it's like these, you know what I mean? So like trying to piece that back together, and it's like, it just doesn't make sense that she made this suit, but she had this amazing suit. Like, never knowing that all this time they're not even on the right track. They, you know, they're not even, they never suspected a were-gorilla.
I mean, that's pretty fair.
And then, you know, maybe they're looking at news. Somebody looks at news report. I'm imagining some sort of X-Files situation where somebody's looking at news reports and being like, you know, like having a weird epiphany.
The red string, Virgil.
Yeah, right. They're like, oh,
putting it all together.
Sumatran gorillas.
Oh, wait a minute, it's too late. The gorilla tears open the cork board.
Tears open. That's a wonderful finish. You're like, oh.
All the push pins go flying. Pin him against the wall. And the gorilla devours him as well. Virgil, right. I think this is it's great. April. Remind me again, how did April get invented?
I'm not certain. I know that Outlaw Levi Wallace has been talking about it. I don't know if he might be the and he has his channel is a lot of fun, and he might be the source of this. I think because he's not crediting someone else. I guess he gets credit because he's not crediting someone else. So we're ready to say it, but I think it might be an event that he's created. But he's reading all kinds of different fiction that's ape related. In April, you know, and which is fun because I like apes and there's lots of fun stuff to read. But yeah, so he did this, and so I thought, oh, you know what? There's a couple stories that are really great. This is a good opportunity for us to talk about them, even though it wasn't too long since this channel talked about them anyway. But I just think this one's so much fun. I couldn't let this pass.
Oh, it's a necessity. It's a great one. You know, this is totally unrelated. I always thought John Lennon was always singing "I Am the Ape Man." And who knew it was I Am the Eggman? I feel like I Am the Ape Man is more reasonable.
I Am the Ape Man is way better. I got to tell you right now, that's a far better line.
Well, who knows what
it does. I mean, I'm just telling you, this is true. We'll just change it.
I Am the Ape Man. Yes. Squeal, squeal, squeal. I am excited to read more ape stories, and you have another one picked out for us. What is our plan for the next Avram Davidson story for April?
The hope is to read Sir Chevreul, and we might get joined by, I'm not certain 100% with this, but we may get joined by Chris from Liminal Spaces and Brian from Bad Taste Books. We're gonna hope for that. I think that's gonna happen, but of course, until it does, until we know for sure, we don't know. You know, we know we'll be here. We're hoping they'll be here.
Oh, we know. They've been name checked now. I'm looking at you, Brian. I'm looking at you, Chris.
Right. It's in the ether.
It's in the ether. It's in the ape suit.
It's in the ape suit. Yeah. Get on you. Yeah, if I had an ape suit, I'd wear it, but I don't.
We have a new plan for
right?
Our summer virtual.
Or very cool.
It's probably very sweaty. Yes. Worth it.
I think I would have very limited use for an ape suit, but it would be fun.
All right, Virgil, you heard it here first. Virgil and I are buying ape suits. We're committed.
all the ape cast.
That's right. We're gonna go full ape cast. We'll see you in the bamboo. No, wait, what kind of forest are they in? There's some kind of anyway.
I don't know.
I'll see you in the forest in an ape suit, Virgil.
In the forest, in the forest we shall meet.
In the forest, or in the movies. I'll see you in the movies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. On the studio, on the set.
On set. Cut.
Cut.